Hey guys, it's Phaedra from All Things Phaedra, and Toyota invited me to talk to you about winter driving. And you know what? Mother Nature cooperated quite nicely. Here in Maryland, we had snow and more snow, and then we had ice, and it's just been a complete mess, especially for driving. But guess what? We still gotta drive. So I'm here to talk to you about winter driving and about this vehicle right here and winter driving. And you may be like, but wait a minute, that is not an SUV, which is what we need for winter driving, winter roads. Wrong, sir, wrong. This is a Toyota Camry all-wheel drive. So we're gonna talk about this all-wheel drive sedan and what that can offer you for winter driving. And we're also gonna talk about why it looks so cool, because this is the Nightshade. But before we do that, let me give you some tips for what you need to know for successful winter driving. The first one is always keep a weapon in your car. Weapon against the elements. So this is a snow brush, snow scraper. I like to keep one of these in the car when I need it. And guess what? I need it because tip number 2 is make sure you have the proper clearance. Now, I didn't drive like this. I had a clear windshield, but when I stopped, guess what happened? All of the snow and ice on the roof slid forward and covered my view. So, what I want to tell you is that before you go out anywhere, don't just clean the windshield. You want to clean the windshield, you want to clean the rear window, the side window, clear the mirrors, and make sure you're clearing your headlights and your taillights, because it's not just about your visibility, but it's about your visibility on the road to the other drivers. And you also want to make sure that this doesn't become a flying projectile for you or for other drivers on the road. The other reason that you want to make sure you get all the snow and ice off is because you're going to need access to your windshield wipers. Because as you're driving on the highway, even if the ice and snow are gone, there's going to be a lot of water on the road, and the water is likely going to be mixed with salt or sand. So that's going to splash up on your windshield, and you're going to need your wipers to make sure you have good visibility. That leads me to my next tip. And for that, I'm going to open the hood. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and open this up. This is a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine, dual injection, but that's not why I'm here. Why I'm here is because, especially in the winter, you want to make sure you keep your fluids topped off. And the most important one, for me, is the washer fluid. So you'll find that right here. And it's got actually a pink fluid in it. Sometimes it's blue. But in the winter, a lot of times you can use a winter de-icer in there, or a windshield washer fluid specifically designed for cold weather. And you would want to do that so that the windshield washer fluid doesn't freeze. So keep your fluids topped up. So we talked about the outside of the car. We talked about under the hood. Now let's talk about what you're driving on, because this is probably the most important part of your winter driving, and that is your tires. So these are 18-inch black painted alloy wheels. That's part of the package, the Nightshade package that I'll talk about. But what I really want you to take a look at is this tread right here, because that is what's going to give you grip on the road. In fact, I've driven on the ice before. You should check out my video about ice driving if you haven't seen it. And all Toyotas come with all-season tires, so that's going to give you good grip year-round. Some people use summer tires, which gives you better performance, but does absolutely horrible in terms of traction in the winter. So you don't want to be driving on summer or performance tires in the winter. And if you live in a really cold climate with a lot of weather, you may even want to swap these out for what they call winter tires, which will have specific tread designed to drive on snow and ice with better traction. If you don't do that, though, at the very least, make sure you have good all-season tires, and please make sure you've got tread on those tires. That is what gives you traction. So if you've got great tires, but the tread is all the way worn down, it ain't gonna do you any good. Now we're actually going to get behind the wheel because there are a few things that you need to know when you get behind the wheel of the vehicle. First of all, most newer vehicles, including the Toyota Camry, comes with traction control and anti-lock brakes and things that you need to be safe on the road. But when you get behind the wheel, one of the most important things that you can do is keep a safe following distance between you and the car next to you. Now, I always grew up with the rule of thumb that you should leave 1 car length for every 10 miles per hour. So if you are going 50 miles per hour, you would want to leave 5 car lengths between you and the car in front of you, at a minimum. If you've got snowy, icy conditions, you're going to want to leave more than that to allow yourself time for proper braking. The other thing that you'll want is you'll want to do smoother driving. What I mean by that is no hard accelerations and no quick brakes, because that's where you're going to lose some of the traction on the vehicle. And then finally, you know what you need? You need experience. Don't wait until you have to be somewhere and there's snow and ice on the road and you're in a panic. Go ahead and get out there and practice driving on snowy roads, especially in your neighborhood. If you want to just do a slow speed drive, it will help you gain confidence when you're on the road and understand your vehicle's capability. And if you have new drivers in your family, teen drivers in the family, the rule shouldn't be don't let them drive in the snow or in icy conditions, because then they're never going to learn. Take them out and do the same thing with them. Let them practice in safe environments, maybe a snowy parking lot, so that they understand what a car can and can't do in the snow. Over the snow. Oh, okay. Like a boss, like a champ. Smooth driving. And if it's icy out in general, my recommendation is stay home, because it doesn't matter if you have a 4-wheel drive, an all-wheel drive, or a front-wheel drive, you aren't going to get a lot of traction on the ice. Now, speaking of all-wheel drive, let's dive in to what this Toyota Camry all-wheel drive is all about. Well, maybe you're already comfortable with your winter driving tips, or you just want to hear more about this Toyota right here. And I'm here to tell you that Toyota does a really awesome job of providing all-wheel drive vehicles across all the auto segments. So, did you know the Toyota offers all-wheel drive models on the Camry, the Avalon, the Prius, the Venza, the Sienna, the Highlander, the RAV4, and the RAV4 Prime, in addition, of course, to the 4x4s that they have on their trucks and SUVs. Those are a lot of options. So let's say you're not an SUV driver, you're not an off-roader, you just want some good winter traction on your daily driver. What does all-wheel drive do for you? Normally vehicles are front-wheel drive, which means the front wheels are actually engaged in the driving. When you have all-wheel drive, the vehicle can actually send power to all 4 wheels, which gives you better traction, better acceleration, helps you maintain your speed, and allows the vehicle to operate more like if it's on dry pavement. Now, the dry pavement part is key, because if you don't live in a winter state and you don't get to experience the joy of driving in snow and ice, you may also have a climate with a lot of rain, a lot of wet roads and things like that, and that traction is going to come in handy for you. The good news is a vehicle like this operates as a front-wheel drive unless you need all-wheel drive, and then it kicks in. So why wouldn't you get an all-wheel drive? Well, it's usually a more expensive option, and some vehicles will have an appreciable difference in gas mileage between the front-wheel drive and the all-wheel drive. As an example, it's pretty negligible here on the Toyota Camry. The front-wheel drives average about 32 miles per gallon, and the all-wheel drive averages about 29 miles per gallon. So that's about 3 miles difference per gallon. I'm okay with that. I don't know about you guys. Why don't we take a closer look at this Toyota Camry SE and note that this is the Nightshade edition, which is an appearance package that I think you're gonna like. What you're looking at is my 14-year-old in the background. in this 2021 Toyota Camry SE Nightshade Edition. So the Nightshade Edition is an appearance package that I think actually makes it look pretty cool and pretty sporty. So we're going to take a look at that in detail on the outside, because you'll notice some details right up front here. We've got a black front grille. We've got what they call a bi-LED combo headlight right here. So LED headlights. I already mentioned earlier these 18-inch black alloy wheels, and you'll also have black accents like the side view mirrors, the door handles. We've got the shark fin antenna up here that's also black, and on the back we've got this black spoiler, and then we have lovely LED taillights with black accents. So it's really sharp looking. You can see the Camry and all-wheel drive badging is also in black. So it's just kind of like a sportier version of the Camry. So you're still driving a sensible sedan, but it doesn't look entirely sensible. It looks a little cool. Why don't we take a look inside, and let's start right back here in the trunk. Open this bad boy. Ooh, exciting. Not really. You can't really see a whole lot back here, except that it's a good sized trunk and it does have a pass through there so that you can fold down the rear seats and have a little more space back here. Let's go ahead and look under here, because I know a lot of you like to know what you get in terms of a spare. And if we pull this up, my hands are freezing. You will see that you have a full tire kit that is considered a temporary spare, but I like to say donut because, donut. Let's close this up and let's check out the back seat with those seats down. All right, I opened that trunk back up because guess what? This is where you actually put the rear seats down. They almost tricked me. So we're going to pull both of these, we're going to put the rear seats down, and we're going to see how that cargo space looks. Inside you have a black interior here, and it is a Softex trim on the seats. Softex is just a fancy way of saying fake leather, but it's actually a nice durable interior. All right, I've put the seat completely down, and now you can see that it's sort of got this weird clearance area right here, but this is kind of like emergency cargo space. I can't imagine if you have a sedan, you're going to need to have those seats down frequently. So that just shows you how much space that you have if you need that pass-through space from the trunk. So here we are in the back row, and I'm making my way to the front. We did the trunk, and I thought I would just show you some of the things that we have back here. It can accommodate 3 passengers. We have a nice center console with some cup holders, and we also have some drink space in the door. And other than that, the only thing we have is we have a little storage compartment area right here in the middle. And that's it. We have seat back pockets, but no USB ports and nothing fancy, which is totally fine. It's just a pretty straightforward car, but be aware, it has that dreaded hump in the middle. So make sure whoever has to sit in the middle in the back has drawn the short straw. Now let's do that legroom challenge that I like to do. I like to remind you that I'm 5'3", so I tend to be a short driver. I keep the driver's seat up pretty far, and so when I'm sitting behind myself here, I like to look at the legroom. Very comfortable back here, but my larger son likes to put his seat all the way back. So we're going to switch over and see how the legroom is in the back. Well, I'm comfortable. I don't feel squished, but I'll tell you, if this were a long car ride, I'd be telling him to scoot that seat up, or at least sit it up a little bit more here. He has it leaned back pretty far, but if you're much bigger than 5'3", this would not make a comfortable driving situation with a tall guy in front, or lady. All right, we're getting out of the back seat because who really cares? What we really care about is the driving experience, so we're going to get up front and I'll show you the bells and whistles that they have here. The one thing about winter driving that I should also mention is carry some shades with you, because that winter sun can be blinding. We're up front here, and I feel like everything I've shown you so far is that It's an attractive car, but it's kind of no frills on the inside because they focus on the driver's experience. This is actually a pretty fun car to drive. It doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. It doesn't have my heated steering wheel or my heated seats or things like that. Those are all options that you can get, but this is a pretty straightforward driving machine. But the first thing I want to talk about is the key. I'm sorry, I know I sound like a total car snob here, but I'm so used to push button start that I brought the key fob into the car and I was like, where do I push the button? So this still uses a key. You can get a push button start as an option. So let's start this up and take a look at what we have. Here's what we've got up front. It's a pretty sleek look. And in this version of the Camry, we have a 7-inch display here. And as you can probably tell, I do have Apple CarPlay up and running on here. In order to activate that, you plug in right down here, and right next door, we have a 12-volt port if that's what you need. And the other thing that I love is vehicles that keep in mind that you need a place to put your phone. So you can, oh, I just found that little ledge there. I could actually put my phone in this little ledge right here. Oh, I like that. That's a nice little storage place. And then you have a full storage compartment down here for all the random junk that ends up in the car. Or you could put your phone down here, but I really like that it has that ledge. That's really smart thinking right there. Climate control here. Again, touch screen. I really am fond of infotainment systems that not only have the touch screen, but they have these tactile buttons so that you can actually use whichever one is easier, especially while you're driving. Let's move down here to the center console, and we have our electronically controlled transmission. It's regular shifter right here. 2 cup holders. Look at my nice little cup from Toyota. Thank you, Toyota. And then in this SE Nightshade edition, you do get this auto hold, which allows you to take if you have this activated, it allows you to take your foot off of the brake when you've come to a stop at, say, like a traffic light. That's called brake hold. The emergency brake, and then we're going to go into the console here. And what do we have? We have 2 more USB charging ports, which is great. So look at that. That's a USB-C port, and that's a regular USB-A port. And this is actually becoming more and more standard in vehicles. So I like that Toyota has that. And then if you look down inside, that is actually a pretty good size console. Again, for more junk. I'm one of those people that I don't like one solitary speck of junk in my car. It's the only clean aspect of my life, but that's how I feel. Okay, passenger seat. Everything is manual control on the passenger seat. It is power controlled on the driver's seat. So there you have it. Winter driving tips and a quick review of the 2021 Toyota Camry SE Nightshade edition. So I don't have a spec sheet on this, but I did price it out online, and it comes in about $29,580. So if you're looking for a sporty sedan to drive in the winter or in any sort of inclement weather, remember that Toyota offers all-wheel drive on multiple models, just like this Camry. So thanks for joining me. If you have any questions about all-wheel drive, about winter driving, or about the Toyota Camry, please leave me a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. So if you've made it this far, you know you want to stick around anyway. I'll see you next time, guys. Here's what I think of winter weather. Ah!